Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Zep. I used to make a lot of Awaken Chaos era content in the past. Some things have unfolded in the recent days that have kind of incentivized me to stop. But I don't want to punish players of this game for some of the things I disagree with the developers. So in that regard, I'm still going to do my best to bring everyone here today a updated 2024 version of a beginner's guide for this game, because I think the bones of this game are fantastic. I do not like the way it's run. I need to preface all of this up front because it may come out in this beginner's guide. I also want to have a little disclaimer here that at the making of this video, the game is kind of in maintenance mode. I also don't want to scare anyone away with that information, because that is my opinion of it. But it is based on some factual evidence that we've heard from the developers, from the community managers, saying that any new content is they don't have anything new planned. They may introduce a new hero every once in a while, which they have been doing, and that can shake up the game a little bit. But in regards to new content to actually play, it really won't be coming. But the positive thing is if you're starting Awaken Chaos Era today, there are a lot of really fun things that you can actually do in the game. And I've seen a bit of new players coming in, so I figured I'd make a updated 2024 beginner's guide, because there's no relevant ones available to new players. So I'm going to do my best to do that today, and I hope it brings some kind of help or relevance to any of the new players starting. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So whenever you first start Awaken Chaos Era, you might not see all of the things that you see on this page right here. But you will eventually open these things up the higher your player level gets. You will do this. You'll increase your level of playing just by playing the game. So the further you progress in the game, the more of these things will open up for you, and the developers have built it that way just to not overwhelm you with all of the different things that you can do. I will walk you through that stuff today, as this is going to be a longer video, so buckle in. But that's how you will unlock all of these things, is by getting your personal player level to 80, which is the max. I think some of the last things that unlock are like in the 40 or 50 range, I believe. So that's what you should be shooting for. And I'll walk through some of the ways that you can kind of speed this up later in the video. Okay, so first things first, as you get through the tutorial of the game, you will then be introduced to heroes, and that's what the main focus of this beginner's guide is going to be, because the heroes of gacha games are the main thing that bring you to the game, and they're what help you progress within gacha games. The better the heroes you have, or the more hero selection you have, the more diverse your account is, and the more things you can do efficiently. But before we get into the heroes, I want to talk about a few things that the game introduces you to after you beat the tutorial. The first one is Adventure Mode. Adventure Mode is the thing that the game is going to take you through when you first beat the tutorial. It's also going to be one of the things that you kind of walk through in the tutorial mode. You have 3 different versions of Adventure, and then each version of Adventure, or difficulty of Adventure, has a bunch of different chapters, and you get things, get items for completing those chapters, which you should do. It's one of the most valuable, they have some of the most valuable items in the game by completing the chapter mode, and the items get better the higher difficulty that you complete, with Mythic being the last one. And I'll talk about these items a little bit in detail as well later in the video. But Adventure Mode is going to be a really important thing, in Awaken Chaos Era, as it is with most of these gacha games. Not only do you get to witness the story, but Adventure Mode is one of the ways that you can upgrade your characters, and we'll talk about that when we get into the heroes. But if I were to tell you what to prioritize on your Awaken Chaos journey, I would say the first thing that you should try and prioritize is completing adventure mode. There are going to be some places that you get stuck in adventure mode, but one of the nice things about this game is in adventure mode, you have the ability to use friends' heroes. Now, a lot of people that have played this game have been playing it for a long time, so they're going to have really strong heroes, which is great for a new player because you're going to be able to use one of your friends' heroes. You can only use them up to 3 times per day, that specific hero. But if you have all of these friends like I have, you can use as many of these as possible up to the 3 count of each hero. The nice thing is these heroes are so strong that they'll be able to solo any of these stages, which is fantastic. So you can eventually beat adventure mode probably even in one day as long as you have enough friends. So that is a nice thing. So you can really speedrun adventure. That's the first thing that you should be focusing on. The second thing are these challenges. So the game gives you an idea of what you should be completing, and they reward you after you complete those things. So it kind of guides you on which way you need to go to progress through the game. So it starts out with Path of Growth, and if you just click on the challenge, it will show you. So if you clear Adventure Stage 2, Part 1, it will then give you this reward, and then you'll get some jelly. And we'll talk about jelly here later on in the video as well. And then so on and so forth. And then after that, the next thing that opens is Clear Adventure Stage 2 too. And then you get one of these summon crystals. This is how you get new heroes. And then so on and so forth. Upgrading heroes, blah, blah, blah. So you really want to be following these challenge paths. So they have, standard Path of Growth. They have Arcane Dominator, which is another part of the game, which is your dungeons. Then you have PvP, you have upgrading heroes, Void Tower, you have No Man's Land, which is another way to upgrade your heroes, guild battles, events, and advanced challenges. What you get for completing these challenges are, again, some of the best items in the game, and even some heroes. So it's a really nice thing to try and guide your path to completing. This is going to take some time. This isn't something that you do overnight. But the nice thing is it's going to give you some goals. It's going to give you some things to work towards whenever you log in every day. So it's going to be really exciting and fun. So enjoy it. Don't speedrun it because, like I said, there's nothing new really coming. So just try and enjoy what the game has in here, which I do admit is a lot. So that's the first challenge. The second challenge that you really want to be paying attention to is something called the Rookie Event. Okay? Now, the Rookie Event has one of the best things for a new player to achieve. So they have 7-day quests and then 14-day quests. I don't have the 14-day quests available right now, like in a screenshot, but you'll probably be seeing this if you guys have started the game. It is imperative. This is one of the things that you truly need to focus on. You should focus on the Rookie Challenge event first before you focus on the other challenge mode that I was telling you about down here. The reason being is, again, all of these items are really good, but the last thing that you acquire in this Rookie Challenge is this little chest, which gives you the option to pull one of these heroes that they mention here. All of these heroes have some okay relevance other than maybe this top one here, but she's not bad. She's just kind of power crept. But this hero here, her name is Florence. You 100% want to pick Florence. She is like a cheat code in this game. Every single end game player uses Florence. She is great in all aspects of every single game mode. She is the clear pick. If you get lucky and you pull a Florence before you get to this chest, because that does happen, some other great options are this hero, Halia. She is fantastic in the end game. She's really good in dungeon progression. Just an overall really, really strong character. And she doesn't really need a whole lot of investment. And then these other two heroes, or three heroes, Opal, which is the one that's kind of cut off here with a gun, is good. She's kind of been power crept by a couple other people, but still useful. Bulin is this hero down here. She's also kind of good. She's good in like Guild Boss, which is an important part of the game that we'll get into later as well. She's also not a bad option. And then this hero in the middle is Rachel. Rachel is really strong hero in a couple different aspects of the game. She's kind of a specialist. So for a newer player, she might not be amazing, but the later you progress into your account, she will become really, really relevant, and you'll probably use her a lot. So I do want to mention that just in case some of you players have pulled Flarence early. I would say your next best option is probably Halia, because she's the most universal, and she has a unique kit to her hero, where the other ones can be power crept, and some of them already have. Where this one, I think it's unlikely that she gets power crept anytime soon. Okay, so yeah, you certainly want to complete this rookie challenge, at least get this chest. The 14-day quest also has some very good rewards in it, but I would say that it's kind of just like nice to have. Very valuable rewards, but if you don't get this chest and miss out on Flarence, your account is really going to be struggling. So with all of that out of the way, let's talk about 3 pieces of currency right now. The 3 main pieces of currency which you see at the top of the screen. You have gold, which is used to upgrade gear. Now, this you will have an abundance of at the very beginning, but trust me, it is one of the bottlenecks in the game, especially for people like me at the end game. Okay? So I'm not saying don't spend your gold, because there's going to be a lot of things that happen in this game where you really need to upgrade gear to progress. So you're going to have to use it. But after you get to a point where you have specific heroes or you have nice teams set up for yourself, I would say be cautious with your gold. But gold is to upgrade your gear. There's also some other things that gold is used for, I think, but for the most part, it is for gear. The other currency here are diamonds. Diamonds are the premium currency in this gacha game. They are used to increase your energy. They're used to buy more summons. I think those are the 2 main things, actually. Energy and summons. So I know a lot of people want to spend it on summons, which I think you can. That's perfectly valuable to do. But if you are a free-to-play player, you may want to use your gems on energy at the beginning. But then eventually you will then want to prioritize, some summons in certain areas, because summons in this game can actually get you some of the best rewards. And then the third currency is bread. Bread is your energy. So it does recover. You can also get more by spending gems, or you can use these meal coupons, which give you 50 bread. And these are usually items that you get from events, you get by logging in, you get by completing your daily quests, all of those things, okay? So those are the 3 main currencies. Now that we've got that out of the way, what we're going to touch on is heroes. So the heroes in this game, you can look at your own hero collection here, or if you want to see all of the heroes in the game, you can go in the top right corner and click on Index. Index will bring you to all of the different factions, and it will show you all of the heroes in that faction. And each faction has their own unique set of heroes, from common, which are the useless type of heroes, which you will be able to break down into jelly, which helps you upgrade heroes. They'll give you more upgrading materials, so you can eventually level up your other heroes that you're going to use more often. So commons and rares aren't used at all. There used to be a time where some rares were used, and a common was used, but now those times are really over. You don't need to do it. All rares and commons are useless. Some elites are very, very strong, and they're even good in the end game. There's plenty of tier lists out there. I have a couple on my channel as well if you want to go look at them on which rares are good, or I just talk about them in their own unique videos. So I would suggest that if you pulled a certain elite hero, sorry, I've been saying rare. If you pull a specific elite hero, just type in the hero's name on YouTube, and something might come up if they're useful. If you don't see a video, they're probably not useful. Epics are the second most valuable rarity in this game, and a lot of the epics are pretty good, and they can be used just as much as a legendary hero, and then obviously legendary heroes tend to be the most valuable characters in this game, and of course the hardest to pull. On top of that, in this game, they have a unique element in this game called Light and Dark. Now, I know a couple other gacha games have this. I don't know if people are familiar with Epic 7 or Raid Shadow Legends. In Raid Shadow Legends, they determine them as void characters. And then in Epic 7, they're called Moonlight characters. In Awaken Chaos Era, it's called Light and Dark characters. So these legendaries are some of the toughest legendaries to get in the entire game, but as you would kind of predict, they're very overpowered. Some of them are not good, but if you pull the right ones, yeah, they're way too good. It's kind of one of the things that upsets most players in this game, is some of them are just way too strong, and if you don't have them, you don't really have a chance. But these have no guarantee kind of pull rate outside of a specific currency, which again we'll get into later. But I did want to touch on the rarities. So you have the common and rares, which are useless. Some elites are valuable. A good chunk of epics are really good and can be used all the way into the end game. And then legendaries are your highest rarity. Wood, fire, and water are your more common legendaries. And then light and darks are your hardest to get legendaries. There are also light and dark elites and epics. And some of these heroes are also very, very strong, but harder to pull. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. So that is the index of all of the heroes. The way you pull those heroes is through the summon portal. So on these advanced summons, if you look at the summon details here, these are your summon chances. So for a legendary hero, you have a 1% chance of getting a legendary, which I think is pretty standard for gacha rates. You have a 10% on epics, and then most on the elites. Now, to get a light and dark legendary hero, as you can see, it's 0.1%. It's very, very hard to do. So don't expect to pull a whole lot of light and dark legendary heroes out of these yellow crystals. This sacred summon, this currency is called a Dawn Fragment. Every single hero you pull from these sacred summons will be a light and dark hero, but you have the chance to get elite heroes, epic heroes, and legendary heroes. So your percentage for legendary heroes has gone up on this summon, but these Dawn Fragments are very, very rare. They are not easy to get. You probably get somewhere around 5 summons a month. So each summon costs you 10 of these. I have 2 right now, so whenever I get 10, I'll be able to summon. If you also see at the bottom of the screen here, you have a percentage chance of getting a legendary hero. This is a pity system. So if you summon 100 of these yellow stones, you will be guaranteed to get at least 1 legendary. So the game does have a pity. Here it is also 100, but as I said, this is much harder to get and acquire, so it's going to take you longer. So right now I have 44 unsuccessful summons without a legendary hero, so we're continuing to go. Next up are these specific banners. So about every 2 weeks, whenever the game has some kind of patch update, they'll have a specific banner up for a hero. At the recording of this video, it is a hero called Guan Yu, which is one of the best heroes in the game. If you guys are seeing this prior to this banner leaving, this is a top-notch hero, and this hero actually pairs extremely well with Flarence. So if you wanted to pull on this banner, it's probably one of the better ones for you to pull on. Just saying. But all this is a separate banner from the standard banner. It also does have a pity down here. and then these banners usually have some kind of caveat to them. For this banner, you have a 300% chance to pull Guan Yu. So if you pull a legendary, your chances for that legendary to be Guan Yu goes up by 300%. This seems like a very, very high percentage, but it is not, considering how many legendaries are actually in the game. So don't really be fooled by this. At 400 summons, you'll actually be guaranteed a Guan Yu. So if your first 3 legendaries on your way to Guan Yu are not Guan Yu, on your 400th pull, that legendary will be guaranteed Guan Yu. A lot of the community feels that this is too high. I am also one of them. I think it'd be much nicer at 300 summons. 200 summons would obviously be amazing, but this is a gacha game, so of course you're dealing with all the things that come with gacha games, like predatory advertising, all of these marketing schemes to get you to spend. So just keep that in mind. So yeah, that's that banner. Now, also every 2 weeks or every month, sometimes they just continue the same limited summon. They offer you 3 specific legendary heroes that are in this limited summon. Now, the way that you pull for these heroes are another different type of summoning currency called Stardust. You get this Stardust from events, you get it from Void Tower, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. But this Stardust is one of the ways to acquire usually the newest hero that the game will put out. So if you see here, you have 3 different legendaries that you're able to pull from, and it has the same kind of pity as the other banners. You have to get to 100 pulls. One pull here is 50, so if you have 5,000 Stardust, you will be guaranteed one of these 3 legendaries. This is usually a pretty good banner if you save up. A lot of times you might have 1 or 2 heroes that are very strong. In this case, this newer hero is a pretty good hero. And then the hero next to her, Flaming Mila, is one of a really good heroes in the game as well. The third one, not so much. You'll also see that you have a double chance of pulling a Light and Dark legendary from this banner as well. So this banner tends to be very good, but it is very specific. It's going to be circumstantial. Sometimes this banner is going to be absolutely garbage and you don't want to pull on it. So I would suggest that you save up your Stardust and wait for a really good hero. The nice thing about this banner as well is if you are efficient and you save up, you will always be guaranteed the new hero. If you see above here, they actually have a pity here as well. So if you pull 2 legendaries that are not the featured hero, after you have 2 of 2 up here, the next legendary you pull is going to be the one that is featured. So that's also nice. Now this is expensive, but like I said, if you're efficient and you just save over time and you wait for the specific hero that you need, this is the best way to get it. It's just going to take some diligence. But that is the limited summon banner. Now the normal summon are these little blue crystals, and that's where you get common, rare, or elite heroes. You get 10 at a time. This is going to be really important for helping you level up your heroes. So these heroes here, like I said whenever I was talking about them in the index, are going to be heroes that you just break down for some type of a leveling currency. This is to increase your heroes' levels, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But that's what these blue crystals do. You get these by playing adventure, you get these by playing any kind of the dungeons. They just throw them at you, okay? This is to help you level up your heroes. So that is how you acquire the heroes. Now, let's talk about the heroes themselves, gear, and ways to upgrade the heroes. All right, so as you see here, I have a bunch of heroes that are level 70. You have the levels, and then you have these stars. And that's really important, and I'm going to touch on that as we go along. So if we go down to the very bottom of heroes that I don't have leveled up, and that I don't have these stars highlighted. Let's go down to one of our epic or legendary heroes. Let's see, who should we pick? Let's pick Andros. So Andros is an epic hero who is an offensive type of hero. If you scroll over, you look at Andross's base stats. Now, these base stats are going to grow the more levels that he gets. You'll see here, right now, Andross can only go up to level 20. But at the top of my hero account, you saw that heroes can go up to level 70, right? So the way that you increase your character's levels are by a couple ways. The first one is here with Jelly. We talked about this. We showed it in one of the challenges. It's one of the rewards that you get. You also get this by just playing the game. Again, they kind of just give you Jelly the more energy you spend. So a lot of times the best way to farm Jelly is through adventure mode. It's through, specific events, and we'll touch on that here in a second. But if I wanted to take my Andross from level 1 to level 20, I would hit the upgrade button, use some of that Jelly. Here, the next upgrade is going to charge me 101 Jelly. So I'm at level 2. To go to level 3, I hit it again. And this keeps scaling, okay? So once you upgrade all the way to level 20, you then get this prompt. So this is the max. So now to move from 2 to 3 stars, right? He has 2 stars down here. You can then upgrade to 3 all the way up to 6. It's going to take you 20,000 Jelly and one of these items called a 2-star Divine Essence. Now it shows you where you can get some of these essences down here, which is Void Tower and Dispatch, which we'll talk about those game modes here in a second. But another way that you can get them is through this altar. So in the altar, you'll see Banishment here. So in Banishment, if you go to a common hero and you want to banish them, you'll get one of these currencies and some gold. So that's kind of nice. Getting some gold, which I said was a bottleneck, is something that you definitely want to do. We'll talk about these common hero essences in a second. If you go to rare, same thing, except now you get a different essence. You get this blue essence. So once you banish those heroes, you'll have these essences. As a new player, I highly recommend that you just banish common and rare heroes for now until you learn a little more about the game. So once you banish those common and rare heroes, you can come down into the exchange shop, and here's the hero essence shop. If you scroll to the bottom, here's that 2-star Divine Essence that you saw. So you can get it 2 ways. You can get it with the blue currency, which we saw from rare heroes, or you can use it with the green currency, which is from common heroes. So that's how you get those 2-star Divine Essence. While we're in here, you see that Jelly is also a thing. So Jelly's also here. That is another item that you're able to get if you wanted to. So let's go back to our hero here. So we're going to filter down to our Epic and Fire hero, which is Andross. So now that we know how to get these 2-star Divine Essence, we can then promote our Andross. So it's telling you here that he's going to go from max level 20 to max 30. And this is the items that it's going to take. So the promotion was successful, and now he can go from 20 to 30. So as you continue to do this, you will scale and scale and scale until the max level is 60. So if you see here, we have some heroes that are max level 60 and then 70. So to get to level 70, because once he's capped here, you then need a special item called a Starlit Tendril. Now, there's only 2 ways to actually get this item. One is from the Diamond Shop, which is, again, in the market, which we just touched on. That's where you get the Hero Essence. If you click on Diamond Shop, you can buy 5 of these a week, and they cost 500 diamonds, so kind of pricey. Be careful with that. So that's how you go from level 60 to level 70. From 50 to 60, you will then need another item, a different type of essence, which is a 5-star Divine Essence. The way that you should, again, think about this is in terms of Raid Shadow Legends. It's a 5-star chicken. If you're thinking about it from like an Epic 7 standpoint, it is one of those epic spirit blossoms. You know how you need like 20 of them there. You need 5 here. So then there's also a 4-star divine essence to go from level 40 to level 50 cap max. So that's how you level up your heroes. The other thing that you want to do to increase your hero's power is if you take a look at your heroes, they will have traits, and then they'll have these individual skills. They'll have basic skills. Some of them might have a special ability. Not all heroes will have special abilities. Some of them will have passives, which are very strong. And then they'll also have an ultimate ability. Now you see here that these abilities can actually be upgraded too. So Andros can have this ultimate ability upgraded from level 1 to level 2, which will give him 20% more damage on his ability. If you go to level 3, it reduces the cooldown of this ability from 5 turns to 4, and then all the way down to level 5, it will actually reduce it down to a 3-turn cooldown. Now, how you upgrade your skills is by going to the ability tab on your hero. And you have these elemental materials. So the way you acquire these elemental materials is by a dungeon called No Man's Land. So No Man's Land has each individual element here: light, dark, water, fire, and earth. And that's where they drop these items. So stage 1, they drop the lowest form of this elemental stone. These are used to upgrade your elite heroes. As you progress further into these dungeons, you'll get a better type of crystal. So this is a wood crystal. The first one is called a wood gem. And then the last one is called a wood obsidian. So legendary heroes need the obsidians and some crystals. Epic heroes need just the crystals and the gems. And then elite heroes just need the gems. Okay? So this is something that you will have to farm up. But if you do, and you have them available to you, each ability can be upgraded to a specific level. And if you click the upgrade button, you can't pick which skill you want to upgrade. It is random. So as you see here, this will kind of spin, and we'll see which one gets upgraded. Okay. So in this one, our ultimate ability got upgraded, and now it does 20% additional damage from what it did originally. It was 210. So if you continue doing this, you can upgrade the abilities of your heroes. This is something that you definitely want to do, but the nice thing is it's quote-unquote free. It just costs energy. Next are glyphs. So glyphs give all of these additional bonus stats to your heroes. So we can't see it on Andros because I haven't done it, but if we go up to like a finished hero, like Melissa here, and we take a look at her glyphs, look at all of these bonus stats that this hero got just by completing these glyphs. You get 12.5% crit rate, crit damage, speed, which is really difficult for a lot of people in the beginning of the game. Glyphing your heroes is mandatory. You need to do it. But again, it's one of those things that are easy. The reason why I said at the beginning of the video why adventure mode is really important, it's because this is where you acquire your glyphs. So when you're starting out, you have 5 different levels of glyphs. Once you complete every single glyph, it will then upgrade to the next level. And that's also where you'll get better stats. So right now on level 1, we're only getting 120 health, 20 defense, 3 speed, and then 1% crit rate. But then you can upgrade. You also get some bonus stats for upgrading. And now the next glyphs that you get, your health or the stats that you're getting are also increasing. Now here it says the source is hard and mythic, but you're actually able, I think glyphs pop up. Actually hard might be the first point where you get glyphs. I think normal though gives you some of those basic ones from glyph level 1. Anyway, the important thing is as you progress within adventure mode, glyphs will be more efficient. What I mean by that is on Adventure 3.1, if you complete that stage, you might not get a glyph drop. But Adventure 7.1 of Mythic, your drop rate of these glyphs is going to be much higher. So you're going to be spending less energy to get more of these glyphs. That's what I mean. So glyphing is another way to upgrade your heroes. So you have glyphs, you have upgrading your abilities, and then last but not least is your trait. Now, heroes have very unique traits to them. It's what makes them, desirable. Some of them have really, really strong traits. Some of them have really, really strong skills. But the trait itself, a lot of heroes have unique abilities. They might have some overlap to other heroes in the game, but the trait is what makes them unique. Okay? So Andros here has his base trait that you see highlighted here, but he also has an ascension effect. So his ascension effect, as you can see here, on the top part, it says damage of the counterattack is increased by 50%, but if he has his ascension effect, the damage of the counterattack is increased by 100%. This is a big boost. How you get this pertains to these stars down here. It's another reason why you need to level up your heroes. So these stars are unhighlighted, but if you see here, a hero like Melissa, all 6 of these stars are highlighted. How do you do this? If you click on your hero, there's a little button down here called Ascend. Now there's 2 ways to ascend your hero, and it's really, really good upgrade to your hero. As you see here, if we ascend our Andros to Ascend 1, his base attack will go up by 15%. This is a big boost. If you click on his trait, it says reach Ascend 5 to enhance your trait. So until he's Ascend 5, this will not unlock. So how you ascend is by 2 ways. One is to have extra copies of the character. So this is kind of the dupe system for this game. So you can take a hero and you can put it in here and hit Ascend, and then Andros will have Ascend 1 done. So now his base attack goes up by 15%. This then unlocks Ascend 2, which then gives him basic health percentage. So we can then go back in and click another copy. Now if you don't have another copy, the game gives you some really important and valuable items called a Soul Arcana. Now they have one for epics, which is purple, and then they also have gold ones, which are for legendaries, which are one of the most valuable items in the game. So I would say you obviously want to use copies of heroes, because you can't use more than 1 copy of a hero in the game. What I mean by that is if you're in adventure mode and you want to go into this battle and you have multiple Androsses, right? You saw how many Androsses I had. I can't use multiples of them. So there's no reason to level up two heroes, see? So you always want to use duplicates of that hero to ascend them first. These Arcanas, you really want to be picky with them, because they are a hard item to acquire. As you see here, the source is through events. These events take place about once a month. You can click on that event tab. And we actually don't even have anything available right now. This is where you'll see them in these events. The game gives you certain events which you acquire. If you want to look at the info, it shows you how to acquire these points. So the max to, complete this event is 6,000 of these points by doing the info here, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. But that's how you acquire those Soul Arcanas. So ascending is how you acquire that Ascend 5, which will unlock that trait. So you're going to need 6 total copies of Andros before you can unlock his trait. And he needs to be at least level 50, where you have that 5-star, to unlock his trait. This is one of the best ways to get the most out of your characters in Awaken Chaos Era, and it's actually, for sure, one of the biggest complaining points of the player base is how difficult it is to get a fully maxed out hero. You know, an Ascended 5 hero is very, very time consuming and tough, and you got to be lucky and you got to pull the right heroes. And I hate to break it to you, but there's a lot of legendary heroes that also have an Ascend 5 for their trait. So it is, it's a little bit disappointing. In the past, it used to be Ascended 2, but as the game progressed, they made a lot of heroes Ascend 5, so just prepare yourself. Okay, so quick recap. The best ways to upgrade your heroes are through their levels, which are from Jelly or Essences. You can upgrade their stats by completing Glyphs, which are done through the Adventure mode. You can upgrade their abilities, which are through the No Man's Land dungeon. You can increase their stats by ascending them, which is with copies of them, and you can even get an upgrade to their trait, which is usually acquired nowadays by Ascend 5ing them. Some of the older characters are Ascend 2. And then the last way is through this system's mastery system. As you see here, there are 3 different levels. You have physique, you have gear, and then you have ability. Now, this is a very controversial system in this game, and in my opinion, this is whenever the game went downhill, whenever they introduced this. This is such a huge disparity in power level with heroes in this game, where you technically need to have this character fully booked to be relevant. Now, that is not true of all characters. Some characters are very, very strong without books. Every character will be better with books, okay? Whether it's epic books or legendary books, they will be stronger, but they might not be needed for the hero to be serviceable. I will say, though, probably about 90% of heroes in this game are going to need books to be useful in the end game. Now, the nice thing is these books will actually help you really progress far into this game, which players that have been playing for a long time like myself didn't have in the beginning. So you're going to breeze through and kind of get to the end game a little quicker than I did. But you will see, if you get to the end game, this is going to be a really sticking point for you. So these books take Jelly to upgrade, but like the abilities that we went over, it's completely random. The most valuable mastery that you can put on your heroes is this gear mastery. If you're lucky and you put 4 books into your hero and they all go to gear, that might be good enough. So you may get lucky with your books and might not have to waste all of them on this hero to get, the most out of him, but a lot of times you should kind of just plan for 0 out of 15. If you take a look here, these masteries also give you additional benefits similar to Ascensions. So if you use a book and it goes up to physique, the very first thing that you'll get is 20% additional crit damage, which is really strong. And you see as you go down here, you get an increase in attack based on speed. Here on the ability tree, these aren't the same for every hero, by the way. Some of them have unique abilities. Some of them have auras that just give your whole team stat boosts whenever they're in the team. But the things that are always the same are the enhance ability 1, 2, and 3, and the gear. This is always the same. The physique tree can be unique and different, and the ability tree, at least the second and fourth options will be unique, but 1, 3, and 5 will always be the same. So 1, 3, and 5 on ability, and then gear will always be the same for every single hero. And they're very crucial to getting just crazy stat bonuses to your hero and making them relevant for endgame. And once you get to endgame, you need them or they're not going to be relevant, especially heroes that deal damage. All right? So that's mastery. I hope you're not overwhelmed. I'm trying to be very specific and in detail about all of these things just so you can get the most out of your heroes. I don't want you making mistakes. That's always the most scary thing for all new players, is they don't want to use an item or they don't want to upgrade a hero that is worthless. So I'm just trying to walk you through details. Now, after all of those items are kind of discussed, the most important thing for your hero in this game is going to be gear, right? Gearing in all of these gacha games is what's most important. You have different types of gear in this game. Okay, a bunch of different sets. Some of them they haven't released, and I don't think they ever will. So the ones that you see with multiple sets here are going to be the ones that you can actually get. I'll talk about them briefly, but the gear, just want to touch on this. So you have 3 top pieces and then 3 bottom pieces. The top pieces, the main stat will always be the same, which will be attack stat. Okay, the attack stat on the hood, it'll always be a health main stat, and then on the chest will always be a defense main stat. These pieces are some of the easier pieces to acquire really good gear, so you can tend to be more picky on them. The later end game that you get, they will have a lot of really good substats, and again, some of the easier pieces to get. Now the boots, 6-star, which is what you'll kind of progress to really, really early in the game. They have a bunch of different main stats that they can be. So they can be flat attack, flat health, and flat defense. All of these flat items on your boots are completely worthless. You should trash them, okay? Speed main stat, it is the only piece in the game that can have speed main stat. So as you would imagine, speed boots are going to be really, really relevant and important. Even if they have bad substats, you will probably want to keep them. And then on the other side, you have defense percentage, attack percentage, and health percentage. All of these percentage boots are going to be relevant, but unlike speed, they're going to be a little more niche. Speed can really go on anybody. Defense, attack, and health percentage is going to depend on the hero that you're using or where you're using that hero. Next are rings. So rings and necklaces are going to be some of the most difficult pieces for you to get. So the main stat for your rings, they are the only piece in the game that can have crit rate or crit damage. Okay, it's also the only piece in the game that can have crit rate or crit damage. You can't have crit rate or crit damage on the necklace. So your rings are where you're most likely going to be using crit damage and crit rate, but not all the time. Defense percentage, attack percentage, and health percentage are like the boots, okay, where you're going to be using those rings sometimes. They're going to be niche. They're going to be hero specific, but I would not just trash them. If they have good substats, I would keep. But the crit damage and crit rate rings, they are the only pieces in the game that give you these two as main stats, similar to the boots with speed. So you'll most likely want to keep those even if you have bad substats at the beginning. And then on necklaces, this is the only piece in the game that can have focus percentage or resistance percentage. Now, focus percentage and resistance percentage, they are also very, very niche kind of necklaces. I don't think you need to extremely prioritize them. Focus percentage necklaces are going to come in handy for sure, especially early game, because it's going to be difficult for you to get a whole lot of stats out of your heroes at the beginning. So if you have a focus percentage necklace, again, it's probably not going to matter what the substats are. Resistance, you should be picky because it's really a niche substat, on your hero here. And I would say it's not really used even in the end game. There's so many heroes that ignore resistance. The only time it's going to be relevant is in certain PvE settings. And then just like the boots and the ring, attack percentage, health percentage, and defense percentage necklaces are all going to be relevant. Again, just determines on where you're playing the heroes and what heroes need to wear them. So it's going to depend on substats. So if you click on each of these individual pieces of gearing, you can see the secondary stats that each individual one can have. So swords cannot have agility. Agility is what allows you to deflect attacks. This can be relevant. I would say that it's a pretty good stat, but again, it's also going to be kind of niche and really hero specific. So what you're looking for out of your weapons a lot of times on your damage dealers is attack percentage, speed, crit rate, and crit damage. In rare cases, you're also going to want defense percentage or health percentage. But for the main purposes of damage dealers, you'll be looking for attack percentage, speed, crit rate, and crit damage. When it comes to your support heroes, heroes that don't deal damage, they're just there to increase damage for your attack heroes or keep them alive, heal them up. You're going to want things like health percentage, defense percentage, speed, focus. Resistance is going to come in handy as well. But any of the damage dealing stats that we talked about before for your damage dealers, you really aren't going to need for your support heroes. That's your weapons. For your helmets, you see here that speed is not something that you can get on your helmet. So, damage dealers, same thing. Attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage, you get the gist. Precision. Now, precision is something that allows you to not have a weak hit, where agility increases the ability of your opponent to weak hit. So if you don't want to weak hit, you will want precision. This is more of a PvP substat, for arena or real-time arena, player versus player. It's, again, kind of a niche stat. If you are only into PvE game modes, precision is not something you should look for. So attack percentage, crit rate, and crit damage for your damage dealers. And again, as your support heroes, health percentage, defense percentage, focus, resistance. Your chest is very similar to the helmet. No speed, so all of the same things apply to that. For your boots, the secondary stats, you can't have precision, but if you have a damage dealer, if you have attack percentage, you're going to be looking for speed, crit rate, crit damage. If you have a speed boot, you're going to be looking for attack percentage, crit rate, crit damage. All of this, I think, is pretty straightforward after I explained the weapons, helmets, and the chest. So only helmets and chests are the ones that cannot have speed substats. So you're going to want to try and get most of your speed out of your weapon, your boots, your ring, and your necklace. Now, how do you acquire this gear, right? As you see here, there's a bunch of different sets. So the easiest way to get gear sets is through playing dungeons. Now, your dungeons are your Arcane Dominator. You see all the different sets that you can get here at the bottom of the screen with their icons. And there's 5 main dungeons. Now, this is a little confusing, but the sets that have new above them on the far right of each of these dungeons can actually only be acquired once you get to stage 17. This is the new set here, but on stage 16 you actually can't acquire it. I don't know why they do this for new players. It's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. So the main items that you're going to be looking at are going to be the first 3 on the left to right. The ones on the end you're really not going to be worrying about. I will say that most of those sets are kind of endgame sets, so it's really not a huge deal in all honesty, but still it is a bit of a bummer. So in the past, the main dungeon that you would start at is Queen of Tides. That is really not a thing anymore. The main dungeon that you're going to want to be completing is Ashmagisteria because they have the speed set. So speed set or raider set is a 2-piece set, which is usually pretty rare in gacha games. It's usually a 4-piece set, but here it's a 2-piece set. It's the most used gear set in the entire game because if you're using a gear set that has 4 pieces on it, it is always a easy piece to just slot in as a 2-piece set and get plus 15 speed. On top of that, they do have the Avarice set, which is really good for AoE damage dealers, and then Dragon Scale set, which is more of a PvP set, but still it is a solid set to have, especially as you start to progress into the mid to end game. But the whole purpose of this dungeon is to get the Raider set. The other nice thing about this dungeon, and we talked about it at the very beginning of the video, is like adventure mode, in dungeon mode, you can use support heroes. So I have another video on this channel that talks about how you can actually progress to Ashmagisteria stage 16 like as a new player week 1, and that's by using a support hero from your friends. If you ever see this hero down here, this hero is named Rosalie. So Rosalie can actually solo this dungeon all the way up to stage 16. We're going to pick a support hero that has some gear on them. So you will need to use one of your own heroes, but for this demonstration, I will put in a level 1 hero, and I'll let you guys see this Rosalie soloing this dungeon. This is the best way for you to upgrade your characters because you will instantly have access to 6-star gear. At stage 16, you can get 6-star gear, and you can even get a type of gear called Fable Gear, which is a step above legendary gear, which we'll talk about here in a second. So as you see here, this Rosalie has already gotten us to the boss with my hero doing nothing. And as you see, she is slowly chipping away at this boss because she's just built for this. So all you need to do is find friends that have a strong enough Rosalie. There might be some Rosalies out there that are a little too weak and they can't solo the dungeon, but you just need to find the correct friends that will allow you to do this. And again, you can do this up to 3 times per day for each friend that has a Rosalie. So there you go. So we beat this dungeon and we got 2 pieces of 6-star gear. So one of the pieces is a rare piece or an elite piece, which is why it's blue, and it has 2 substats. And then the other piece is a epic piece where it has 3 substats. Now, you can also get legendary gear, and you can get Fabled Gear. Fabled Gear is the best type of gear that you can get. Of course, it's the hardest type of gear to get. But if you look at my Jerome, you will see here that I have Orange Gear, which is legendary, and it has 4 different substats on it. Right? We saw the Epic Gear, which had 3, and then the Elite Gear had 2. Fable Gear is the gear that you see here. It's like multicolored between orange and purple. Fable Gear has a really unique item here at the top. So this is like an additional stat. So it's kind of like 5, but it can't be upgraded. This piece is Swift 1, which gives me +5 speed. We were just talking about how the hood and the chest actually don't have the ability to have speed as a substat, right? But Fable is the way to get around it. So I can actually get 5 more speed with a hood when I didn't have the option to do that in the past. So Fabled Gear can be acquired, I think, at stage 16. I think that's where you first get it. Or maybe it's stage 14. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Okay, so that's gear, okay? You really want to focus on Ashmagisteria because of the Raider set. It's really going to help. Also, the Avarice set is very, very good for PvE in the very beginning stages. Talking about the other dungeons real quick. Roaring Tulpa, you really don't want to focus on this dungeon. It's really not that good. All 3 sets, even the 4th new set, really isn't used. Ashmagisteria, like I said, fantastic for Raider. Avarice is pretty good. Dragon Scale, also pretty good, kind of niche. And then the other set in stage 17, which Rosalie cannot solo, don't try and do it, is niche. On Queen of Tides has a Warrior set, which is an okay 2-piece set, especially early game. Curse set, completely worthless. Revival set, also worthless. Wrath set, very, very good for endgame, but only endgame, so don't fret over that. Witch of the Wind, very good sets. Raptor set could be good early on, and it's only a 2-piece set. Assassin set, which is a very, very strong gear piece. This is how you're going to get a lot of damage out of your single target damage dealers. So Witch of the Wind is another dungeon that you'll want to farm, but it probably has the highest ceiling in regards to requirements of your stats. So you're going to need a lot of speed. That's the bummer. And then the Faith set is garbage. Immunity set is very, very strong, but again, it's only for endgame players in PvP. So Assassin set is your main piece there. And then Gemini Dragon has a very good set, but right at stage 17, which again is the hardest to do, and it's very hero specific. So do not, worry yourself over this set. You're going to be able to progress really, really, really far in the game without it. So mentioning all of that, as you saw, like Queen has an okay set in Warrior, but it's not that great. Ash has all of the good sets, and then Witch has 1 or 2 okay sets. The immunity set is good endgame, but only endgame. So that's how you get the gear. The higher the stage of the dungeon, the better gear drops you'll get. So you want to farm the highest stage of the dungeon that you can. Okay, so I guess on Hell Stage 3 is where you can get the Fable Gear. Hell Stage 4, again, like I said, that's where Rosalie can solo if you have a good friend. So just farm that dungeon as many times as you can based on your heroes, your friends' heroes, to get the best possible gear you can early game. All right, so the last thing that we need to talk about in regards to heroes and how to get the most potential out of them is something called a relic. Now, this is extremely endgame content. You don't really have to worry about this. It's going to take you a long time to get there. But these relics are just additional stats with more sub-stat specific adders to your hero. I really don't want to get into too much detail with this because it's going to take you a long time to get here. And then when you do, there are specific 30-minute, 40-minute videos around these items and how you get them. But this is another thing to level up your hero. Don't worry about this. You are not going to need it until you get to the very end game. And how you acquire those is something called Rift of Chaos. This is another thing that the game kind of screwed up on, at least the way that they released it. It was way overtuned. It's since been nerfed like 4 times. But this is where you acquire these. Again, I don't want to get into it. You can't even unlock this until you beat stage 16 of 3 of the 5 of these dungeons. So you have a long way to go, okay? But that's how you get them. I did want to touch on that. All right, now that heroes are done, which is, a huge part of this game, upgrading your heroes. You see everywhere that you can upgrade them. Now we are going to be going through some of the additional auxiliary modes of the game. So first up is Guild. Now, in order to open this up, you actually need to have a guild. The way you do this is by searching for a guild. Now, the easiest way to do this is to go into the Awaken Chaos Era Discord and just type in there, say, guys, I need a guild. There's plenty of guilds out there that are looking for new players. So all of these guilds, they're still active. You can find them on the Discord. One of them will reach out to you, I promise. It's going to be a beginner's guild, but that's okay. You got to start somewhere. So why that's important is because there's a bunch of different game modes in here, and some of these game modes give really, really valuable rewards. As you just saw there, when I signed in, I acquired some of these guild tokens. Now, these guild tokens can be used to exchange in the market. In the market, if you go to the exchange shop, this is the guild shop. So you have the ability to purchase some of these matrices. So matrices allow you to actually get an epic hero based on the matrix. These epic heroes require 60 of them. So you can actually get 2 copies of Scarlet, Why is that important? Well, we talked about ascensions, right? Scarlet, if you have 2 copies, Scarlet will get a attack boost whenever you ascend her from A0 to A1. Scarlet is also a really good guild boss hero. So they're kind of helping you, helping guide you to a decent team. On top of that, they have Yolanda, which is a pretty solid legendary hero. But as you see here, she requires 100 matrices to get to her. So you will need 10 individual purchases of this. So you'll need 8,000 guild tokens. I wouldn't say that's worth it, but you decide what's best for you. They also offer some gear in here. A lot of times the gear is really bad, like this piece is not good. This piece is also not good, so I really wouldn't recommend that you purchase any of these items. Also, these charms, do not buy these. Also, I'm sorry, I didn't touch on that. Charms are actually how you upgrade your gear, if you guys were wondering. So you can buy some charms in here for diamonds. Don't ever do that. I'll actually touch on this in a second. But these tokens, yes, they are used here, but for the most part, you're going to be using these guild tokens for meal coupons, which we touched on at the very beginning of the game. This is how you get 50 energy. So instead of using your gems, you can use meal coupons. So you can use your guild tokens to get meal coupons, or you can get advanced summon crystals to get heroes. All right, so that's why joining a guild is important, because signing in, you can get your guild tokens. On top of that, you have the ability to exchange matrices. This is really, really niche. Don't get your hopes up here. I'm not even going to explain it. But the game modes I do want to talk about. So Guild Boss, or aka Banker, is one of the guild bosses in the game where you can acquire some really nice rewards. It depends on how high of a level you get, but you can get different pieces of gear. You can get Stardust, right, which is something that I mentioned for limited summons. You can get book pages. So not only can you acquire epic books, which are those masteries that we talked about that I kind of said ruin the game, you can also get pages. So if you get enough pages, like in this case 100 of them, you can synthesize it to get one legendary book. So Guild Boss is one of the best ways to acquire additional books to upgrade your heroes. On top of that, you can get different pieces of gear, which is really nice, and you can even get Dawn Fragments, which allow you to summon Light and Dark heroes, which are the most valuable in the game. Now, as you see here, this is the levels of what you're hitting your Guild Boss at. So this player in my guild is hitting level 70, which is the highest level you can hit. And then level 66, like these are all endgame players, right? So this guy is also hitting level 53. We're all getting, max rewards. You can actually go higher than level 55 and get even better drop rates than what they're shown here, but your actual rewards will always, this is the way you can max out at. So if you're just starting and you go into Guild Boss, you might not see Team A and Team B. You'll just see Team A. You can unlock Team B once you reach level 25 on Guild Boss, which is based on the amount of damage that you do to him. So it actually doesn't say the threshold here, but I forget how many damage you need to do. But there are specific videos out there talking about Guild Boss teams and things like that. I don't want to touch on that. Another game mode is called Ruins of the Gods. Now, I absolutely despise this game mode, but I will say that it is one of the best. It has some of the best rewards in the game. So if you can get into a guild that at least participates in this, you're going to be able to get some really nice rewards. It's a 2-week-long thing, and it's one of the few ways that you actually participate with your guild. And then the last game mode is called Guild Wars. This is like in-game PvP. If you haven't been playing the game for a really long time or spending, it may be frustrating. But the nice thing is the type of rewards that they give in here are also very good. And on top of that, hitting top 10% or top 20% is not going to be hard, especially for the amount of guilds that are left in this game. These rewards are good. So just participating in this is going to be valuable, even if you lose, even if you get crushed all the time, okay? And as you can see, it is also a 2-week-long game mode. And at the end of it, you'll get Stardust, which helps you with summons. You'll get more of these tokens, which is another shop exchange in the market. And you'll also get some Dawn Fragments if you're in the top 5% or top 10%. So very good rewards here. So that's why joining a guild is very valuable. Next up is the Forge. So this is a failed introduction to the game. I think it was a nice idea, but just the implementation and where to get these items really failed. You'll get these items along the way by playing the other guild modes that I showed you, and then one other game mode, which I highly suggest you skip just because it will make you want to tear your eyeballs out. But the Forge is a place to get some niche sets. They might be valuable, but it's going to be really hard to get, good pieces of gear. You can use, all of these specific items to try and craft the perfect piece of gear, but trust me, this is a failed system. I would not think too much of it. They also release a Magic Pass every month, which is probably the best value in this game if you want to spend money. Again, this game is kind of in maintenance mode. So your dollars into this game are not going to be well spent. Putting money into a gacha game is never money well spent. People who say I invested make zero sense. It's not an investment. You never get a return on this, so don't ever think of it that way. But every month they come out with a different type of Magic Pass. They've started to alternate here, like in the past year. The top row is always free. You get this by just playing the game, doing any kind of PvP arena matches, or just spending energy will eventually fill up this bar, and you'll get to the end, which is a free summon crystal. If you end up buying the Magic Pass for $10, you will then get the bottom row, which is really nice. You'll get some Stardust, you'll get some gear charms that help you level up your gear, meal coupons, and then you can also get a legendary book at the end. At level 30, they introduce either a gear set. So this month it is this Firmament set, which is actually pretty good. It's 15% speed and 10% focus for a 2-piece set. But all of these substats and stuff are random, so you don't know if it's going to be good or not. But for $10, the bottom row is valuable anyway, even without this set. And then alternating months, they will introduce a free legendary, quote unquote free, just for $10. But it is also valuable. The only way to get the bottom row is to pay for it, which is a bummer. I wish that you could spend some gems, but you can't. But the Magic Pass is the best value in the game. The market, we already kind of touched on this, but in specific details, so I'll touch on it here. For the gold shop, a lot of times what you want to be spending gold on early on is maybe some glyphs that are harder to get, and then maybe some gear charms, which I didn't have any pop up, but this refreshes every so often. I would not use your gems to refresh this. The diamond shop, every week you get a discount on advanced summoning crystals. As you see, I already used it up here, but the standard rate per summon crystal is 150 gems, but every week you can get a discount of a summon crystal costing 100 gems. So it's technically like one free summoning crystal for your gems each month. That's what I would usually spend it on, or you should be spending it on energy. The events. Now on the event shop, these event points, they can be acquired, of course, by events. So if you see here, this dispatch event, one of the tokens is 200 event points here. So if I have those event tokens, I can go into the market and then buy anything here. The only thing, in my opinion, worth buying is, again, meal coupons and summoning crystals. Guild Vault, we already talked about it. I think you should just be summoning using meal coupons and advanced summoning crystals. Glory Shop. This is where we were talking about guild versus guild. So you can get some skins in here, which is nice, or portrait frames. But the main thing that you want to be buying once you actually get into a guild and you're doing the guild versus guild, the PvP kind of game mode that I just talked about, you're going to be wanting to spend those items on Dawn Fragments to try and get legendary Light and Dark heroes, and you want to be using book pages to get additional legendary books. Now, Arena Shop, this is something that we'll touch on here in a second. You get arena tokens. Now, once every 60 days, you can purchase 1 Soul Arcana for legendaries. As I told you in the past, these are the most probably valuable item in the game nowadays, because Ascension traits, getting up to Ascended 5 is really important to unlock the full potential of a hero. So being able to acquire these just based off arena tokens is really valuable. This is the first thing you want to buy with your arena tokens. You want to save up and get them. You can only use these on fire, water, and wood legendary heroes. Can't use them on light and dark legendary heroes, so keep that in mind, but still very, very valuable. Never purchase the gear in here. If you want, you can use it on summoning crystals, but only after you purchase this Soul Arcana. Trial Shop, I'll tell you about this game mode here in a second, but the only thing that you really want to spend this on is the Soul Arcana or the summoning crystals or meal coupons. Hero essences, again, we kind of talked about this. The green essences you get from dismantling at the altar common and rare heroes. Common and rare heroes, and then, or just common heroes. And then hero essence you get from rare heroes and elite heroes. The only thing that you want to be spending on here is jelly, summoning crystals, and divine essences. I have so much currency that I buy this ancient summoning crystal from time to time. You shouldn't do it. It's a bad deal. These advanced hero essences you get by dismantling epic and legendary heroes. You rarely want to do this. You really won't even be worrying about it until end game, and by that time you'll understand currencies. But for now, I would just disregard it. Team Arena Shop. So there's another game mode of Arena, which we'll talk about. It's like 3 different teams of 4-on-4. A bunch of different gacha games have this game mode. I don't really like it, but the most important thing that you're going to want to be buying are these TAXs. We'll touch on that here in a second, but I'll explain why. That's the only thing you really want to be purchasing those on. And then the Dispatch Shop is really nothing that you have to worry about. I'll talk about that game mode in a second. So that's the market. So let's talk about some of those extra game modes. All right, so this is the main screen for dungeons. We're not going to touch on that. We already talked about Arcane Dominator, right? This is where you get your gear. Bounty Hunt. So Bounty Hunt is something that you can only do one time. There's up to stage 80. But you will get a bunch of really good items by completing these stages. I can't go in and show you, how to do them anymore because I already beat them. But really, really valuable items. And at the very last stage, you can actually unlock a, what's it called? You can unlock one of those Arcana Soul Potions that I talked about being the most valuable item in the game, right? Let's see here. It's one of these. Right here. But it's a Soul Arcana for light and dark legendaries. You only get one. There's only ever been one introduced in the game. And that's the only place you can get it is from Bounty Hunt. Now, Dispatch. Dispatch is one of the events that is actually going on right now. You do this by acquiring, the more heroes you have, you just click auto and you hit deploy. You do this by leveling up your dispatch. It's a big, long thing. In the end, the only benefit to this is to complete the event that we just saw, where it gives you some event currency, and it also gives you some divine essence, some gold, and dispatch gold, which is basically useless. But As you do this, you can see that there is that event going on in the event tab. So I just unlocked a 4-star legendary hero, and it gave me some points. So now I have 530 points. If I do that enough, I'll get 1,000 and then get 3 gear charms and 10,000 gold. That's all dispatch is used for. The other things that you just saw me get there, which were like matrices, is such a failed system in the game, you don't want to worry about it. Lost Sanctuary, this is like a one-time thing. Again, kind of like a failed thing that they did. They never followed up on it. It's kind of like a little mini game where you can get some rewards. Some of the rewards are good, so yeah, you should go in and do them. Endless Trial, this is where you get those trial tokens. It was one of the currencies in the market. You basically go through here. It's one of the best resources for gems and also gear charms. It can go all the way up to level 70, and it's kind of like an auto thing. So for people who are trying to be really efficient, they should do this game mode. But as you progress through it, there's 3 stages. You can get these little artifacts which give your teams, like an attack, speed boost, and then you'll fight individual teams. But what they did here was they skipped battles where you just put together a team, and then you can go in and fight this team, and then since it's on auto, it'll just auto fight it for me, and there you go, I got a victory. So then I got some of those trial tokens, which I showed in the trial shop, and then I got some gold and some other currency which you can use to upgrade your heroes here in the black market, yada yada yada. It's a very good game mode. You can do it like once every 2 days. So if you want to really be efficient with currencies and stuff like that, that's where you want to focus, is Endless Trial. So Chosen Faction Challenges, this is like Faction Wars in Raid Shadow Legends, right? Where every 24 hours, 2 factions will open up, and you have to beat these stages, and you'll unlock specific items, but you can only use heroes from that faction. So it can be pretty difficult, but some of the rewards are really good, which are these glyphs. So these glyphs allow you to actually upgrade the substats on your gear. So if you have like a speed substat and you have a speed glyph, it can roll, up to 4 additional speed. So really valuable. You definitely want to partake in this faction challenge the more heroes you get. They also have a boss here called Batwolf. So he also offers glyphs, and it's actually the only place that you can get ring and necklace glyphs. So you'll see the little icons at the top. This is for weapons, this is for helmets, and this is for chest pieces. That's where you get those items specifically. Void Tower is something that resets every month. It has, again, some of the best rewards in the game. The more clears that you have, you get Stardust, you get summoning crystals, and then whenever you get to hard, you actually have the ability, again, to get another legendary Soul Arcana. So Void Tower, again, is another one of those items or game modes that you really want to focus on. No Man's Land, we already talked about it. That upgrades your skills, hero skills, and then Rift of Chaos gets you those relics, which, are not really needed. Next are your events and your Dragon Cup rallies. So every 2 weeks, the main thing that you want to focus on here are these summon rallies. So they give you event calendars where they tell you about what's coming up and how you acquire points. So right now we have a hero upgrade rally. The difference between rallies and events is rallies, you're competing against other people. So if you finish in the top 1, you get additional rewards. But your rally is kind of like the events. You can get just regular rewards, and then you can also get group awards on rallies. You can't do that with regular events. So here is Hero Upgrade Rally. It's the same thing. If I just improve my heroes, I get specific points. yada, yada, yada. And the max is 3,600, where I can get an epic book, which is a very valuable piece. And then your team arena rally. Again, same thing. And your final reward there is an epic book of masters, and you get this by winning or losing matches in team arena, which I'll touch on in a second. But like I said, every 2 weeks they alternate between rallies and events on a summon event. So summon events, which will take place on Thursdays, are the only true way to consistently get free legendary books consistently. So throughout the game, you can get them in guild with pages. You can acquire them in Void Tower. That's another way to get books. You can get them through currencies, but to consistently get them every week is through summon events. This is why you want to save up your crystals and you want to save up your gems to only use them on summon events to try and get your legendary book. You need anywhere from like 12,000 points for summon events, and then summon rallies. I think the max you can get is like 8,000 points, and you can only get 1 on rallies. You can get 2 books on events. All right, we're towards the finish line here. In Altar, we talked about banishment of the rare and common heroes. Elite heroes is the same thing as common heroes, as rare heroes, except you get 2 essences instead of 1. Also in the Altar, you can synthesize heroes. Now, some of these heroes are pretty good. Santis is very good. Hakron's very good. Ciara is, I think, a bit underrated. Savannah transitions into the endgame very well. And then Bella is a pretty strong character as well. If I were to tell you to prioritize somebody, it would probably be Savannah, Santis, and Hakron. All right, and then last but not least is the arena game modes. So arena is very endgame. It's just like that in any other gacha game. Usually the people that have light and dark legendary heroes or spend money are going to be at the top, right? These people have spent tons of money or got very, very lucky, and they're just super efficient, okay? That's what happens. But you can do trainings. This gives you free gems. They allow you to complete specific quests. And then this is how you get your arena tokens. Remember, every 60 days, if you have 2,000 of these tokens, you can get one of those legendary soul arcanas to ascend one of your legendary heroes. You need to be grinding arena. You want to get there. Team arena, same thing as regular arena, except you get the team arena tokens. What those team arena tokens allow you to get is those Taexes that I talked about. Taexes can be used in elemental power here. They upgrade these stats where you increase the amount of percentage of stat that you have based on just your elemental power upgrades. So if you have in this case, a water hero, because I have this upgraded from 10 out of 15, all of my water heroes will have 20% focus. This is really, really good. It's endgame stuff, but that's what you're grinding for. RTA, Real-Time Arena, is one of the most frustrating, but yet also enjoyable game modes out there. If you get 20 wins, you can get 15 book pages a week to get a legendary book. After you grind that enough, you can also get up to 5 of the sacred summoning crystals. So every 2 weeks, if you're grinding enough, you can get a free summon for a light and dark. But that is basically it, guys. I know, extremely long video, a lot of detail. I'm just trying to give you the basics on how you can actually understand all of the things encompassed with progressing in your Awaken Chaos era journey. Main things you want to do: get into a guild, clear adventure mode, start farming Ashmagisteria with friends Rosaleyes, follow the challenges, complete the rookie challenge 7-day quest so you can get Florence. She's going to be used in almost all of your teams. And then do your daily quests, okay? Go in here, do your daily quests. You'll eventually get weekly quests. you'll get these badges, which allow you to unlock even more rewards in the events or the rally cups. Yeah, you'll get summoning crystals, you'll get meal coupons, and then they also have advanced quests. So as you progress through your advanced quests, just doing what you do daily, you can eventually get, again, another free Legendary Book of the Masters. Okay, guys, that's all I have. I think that was enough detail. I hope that's enough detail for a beginner's guide in 2024. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, reach out down below. I'll try and actually respond to all the comments on this video. I'm not very good on that with my other videos, but for this one, I'll try and make it a point to respond to all of the questions here. All right. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you found it helpful, and welcome to the game. See ya.